Pause. Something big is happening in the world economy, and most people don't even realize it yet. The signals are quiet, but they are powerful. Behind closed doors, in the halls where global financial decisions are made, central banks are making a move that speaks louder than any headline. Curious. They are buying gold, not slowly, not casually, but with strong conviction. And when the institutions that control currencies begin turning toward gold, it means something deeper is shifting beneath the surface of the global system. Think about this for a moment. These are the same institutions that create money, manage national reserves, and guide the direction of entire economies. They understand markets better than almost anyone else on the planet. They have access to information, research, and forecasts that most people will never see. And right now, many of them are choosing to increase their gold reserves even while prices are already high. That alone should make anyone pause and think, because this is not the behavior of institutions chasing hype. This is the behavior of institutions preparing for the future. Gold has always had a special place in the financial world. For thousands of years, it has represented stability, strength, and trust. Empires have risen and fallen, currencies have come and gone, but gold has remained a symbol of lasting value. And now, once again, the most powerful financial institutions in the world are turning toward that same timeless asset. What makes this moment so fascinating is that these moves are happening quietly. There are no dramatic announcements, no loud celebrations, just steady, determined accumulation. It feels like the early moments before a storm, when the air changes and those who are paying attention can sense that something important is about to unfold. Smart money always moves first. It reads the signals before the crowd even notices them. And right now, those signals are pointing toward gold. There is a feeling spreading quietly across the global financial world, a feeling that something important is changing. For decades, people trusted the system of paper money, digital balances, and endless currency creation. Governments printed, markets expanded, and the world kept moving forward. But trust is the true foundation of any financial system, and when that trust begins to weaken, even the strongest institutions start looking for something more solid. This is where the story becomes powerful. When central banks begin increasing their gold reserves, they are not simply adjusting numbers on a balance sheet. They are responding to a deeper concern about the future of currencies and the stability of the global financial system. Gold does not rely on political decisions. It does not depend on promises from governments. It cannot be printed, inflated, or created with the click of a button. It simply exists as real value. Across the world, uncertainty has been growing. Economies face rising debt, geopolitical tensions continue to reshape alliances, and financial markets move through waves of volatility. In moments like these, institutions responsible for protecting national wealth begin asking serious questions. What happens if currencies weaken? What happens if global confidence shifts? What happens if the systems people trust today look very different tomorrow? These questions push leaders to search for something timeless, something proven through centuries of change. That is why gold becomes more than just a metal. It becomes a symbol of security, a symbol of independence from fragile systems, a symbol of strength when the future feels unpredictable. When the guardians of national wealth start turning toward gold, they are sending a quiet signal to the world. They are reminding everyone that trust is the true currency of the financial system, and when trust begins to shake, the search for something real begins. Gold has a quiet power that many people overlook. It does not shout for attention like fast-moving stocks or trending assets. It simply stands there, calm and steady, carrying thousands of years of trust. And this is exactly why central banks turn to gold when they think about protection. They are not reacting in panic. They are making a strong, thoughtful decision to protect the wealth of their nations. When a country holds gold in its reserves, it is holding something real. Gold cannot be printed, it cannot be created by a computer, and it cannot be changed by political decisions overnight. It exists outside the control of any single government or financial system. That alone gives it a special kind of strength. It becomes a shield against uncertainty, a solid foundation when everything else feels unstable. Central banks understand this better than anyone. Their job is to protect national wealth and keep economies stable during difficult times. They think years ahead, sometimes decades ahead, and when they look at the global economy today, they see rising debt, shifting power between nations, and currencies that can lose value faster than people expect. In moments like these, they want balance. They want something that does not depend on promises. That is where gold becomes so important. It adds strength to a country's financial reserves. It spreads risk and protects against sudden shocks in the system. It is like building a strong anchor for a ship before the storm arrives. This is not about fear. It is about wisdom and preparation. It is about choosing stability in a world that can change quickly. And when the most powerful financial institutions in the world quietly reach for gold, they are showing a deep belief in the value of something timeless, something real, and something strong enough to protect the future. At first glance, many people think this story is only about price charts, market trends, or investment strategies. They see gold rising on a graph and assume it is just another movement in the financial markets. But when you look deeper, you realize that something much bigger is happening. The growing demand for gold is not just about making profits. It is about preparation, awareness, and understanding the signals that history has shown again and again. Throughout time, gold has always played a special role when the world begins to feel uncertain, when economies face pressure, when debt levels rise, when geopolitical tensions increase. People and institutions start searching for stability. They begin looking for something that can hold value even when everything around it begins to shift. That is when gold steps forward as a powerful symbol of protection. Central banks are not emotional investors. They do not chase trends or follow hype. Their decisions are based on careful research, deep analysis, and long-term thinking. So when they increase their demand for gold, it sends a clear signal that they are preparing for possibilities that others may not yet fully understand. They are reading the signs of the global economy and positioning themselves to stay strong no matter what comes next. This moment becomes more than just numbers on a screen. It becomes a story about survival and foresight. It is about recognizing the difference between temporary excitement and lasting value. Those who understand this shift begin to see gold in a new light, not simply as an investment, but as a timeless asset that has carried nations and individuals through moments of uncertainty. The rising demand for gold reflects a deeper awareness spreading across the financial world, a quiet recognition that strength comes from preparation and that those who read the signals early often stand the strongest when the future begins to unfold. There is something incredibly empowering about understanding what is happening before the rest of the world catches on. Knowledge has always been one of the greatest advantages a person can have. When you begin to see the patterns behind the headlines, the movements behind the markets, and the quiet decisions being made by powerful institutions, you start to realize that awareness itself is a form of strength. This is what makes the story of central banks buying gold so inspiring. It shows us that the most powerful financial players in the world are not simply reacting to events. They are thinking ahead. They are studying the future and preparing for possibilities that many people have not yet considered. They are positioning themselves for stability, for resilience, and for long-term security. And when you learn about these actions, you are stepping into that same awareness. You begin to see the world through a wider lens. Instead of being surprised by changes in the global economy, you start recognizing the signals that appear before those changes happen. It is like turning on a light in a room that was once dark. Suddenly, things that once looked confusing begin to make sense. This knowledge gives people confidence. It reminds us that we are not powerless observers of the global economy. We are learners, thinkers, and decision makers who can grow stronger by understanding the moves being made by those at the highest levels of finance. When you realize that central banks are quietly building gold reserves, it opens your eyes to a deeper truth. The world is always sending signals about the future. The challenge is learning to recognize those signals early enough to understand what they mean. And once that awareness begins to grow, it becomes a powerful source of inspiration and clarity. There are moments in history when a quiet decision begins to echo across the entire world. At first, only a few people notice it. The signs are small, almost invisible to the public eye, but slowly, curiosity begins to grow. People start asking questions. They begin to sense that something important is unfolding beneath the surface of the global economy. This is exactly the feeling surrounding the growing movement of central banks toward gold. When the institutions that guide the financial stability of nations start increasing their gold reserves, it naturally creates a powerful sense of curiosity. Why now? What do they see in the global economy that others may still be missing? These questions open the door to a deeper understanding of how the financial world really works. Central banks study risks years in advance. They examine global debt, currency strength, geopolitical tensions, trade conflicts, and economic shifts between powerful nations. Their job is not just to manage the present, but to prepare for the future. And when they quietly turn toward gold, it sparks an important conversation about what may lie ahead. This curiosity creates momentum. People who begin exploring these questions often discover that gold has always played a special role during moments of uncertainty and change. It becomes a window into understanding how economies protect themselves when the world feels unpredictable. The more you think about it, the more fascinating it becomes. Every gold purchase by a central bank tells a story. It suggests preparation. It hints at caution. It reveals that the leaders responsible for safeguarding national wealth are thinking carefully about the road ahead. And once your curiosity is awakened, the story becomes impossible to ignore. The questions continue growing, the connections become clearer, and the world of gold suddenly feels like a powerful key to understanding the deeper forces shaping the future of the global economy. There is a powerful truth hidden inside the quiet actions of central banks, and once you see it, it becomes impossible to ignore. Gold is not just another asset sitting inside a vault. It represents something much deeper. It represents certainty in a world that often feels uncertain. It represents strength when systems begin to look fragile, and it represents truth in a financial world built on promises. For centuries, gold has carried a meaning that goes far beyond its physical form. It has been a symbol of stability during times of chaos. Empires have risen, currencies have collapsed, markets have crashed, but gold has remained. Through every crisis, every war, every financial reset, it has stood there as a reminder that real value does not disappear when confidence fades. That is why the actions of central banks carry such emotional weight. These institutions are responsible for protecting the financial future of entire nations. Their decisions are not random. Every move is studied, calculated, and designed to protect stability for the long term. So when they begin accumulating gold with quiet determination, it sends a message that goes far beyond numbers and charts. It reminds us that strength is built on foundations that cannot easily break. Gold does not rely on political speeches, government policies, or economic forecasts. It does not need confidence to exist. Its value is rooted in something far more powerful: trust that has been built over thousands of years. And in a world filled with uncertainty, that kind of trust becomes incredibly valuable. Gold becomes a symbol of preparation, resilience, and wisdom. It stands as proof that even in the most unpredictable times, there are still anchors of stability that people can hold on to.